Hello, welcome back to Seawolf's Den. I'm Crafting Ron. Another project I've decided to start with. Many will recognize this classic Kenner toy.
What a creepy swamp!
It's Kenner's Dagobah action playset. You have to put it together. Action figures.
Not much left of it. This is all I got was the base, so obviously it's great for a piece of terrain that I'm planning on doing. There's a lot of detail you don't want to lose on this. And I got these other parts that came with Avatar toys. They kind of look like aquarium pieces, but because it was water based, but I still think that it'll work. It's got more of a coral look, but once I paint them. So I'm going to try to integrate this stuff and cover up some of the, and these actually have lights on them too. It's kind of neat. To cover up some of the detail, some of the toy detail, and make this kind of a lair. A lair of a creature. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to pull this off, but there's probably, like, I'm going to line these up, cover up some of these holes.
Each sold separately.
Yoda, I'm stuck!
Attempt to, without having to use too much hot glue, but I'm definitely going to have to use hot glue. But there you go, kind of a layer look and then paint it up. This will kind of be the opening, but I may add some plants, some flocking. Leave this up here, maybe detail this up with some hot glue and some flocking to give this, give all of this more of a stone look. So it looks more of like a cave, and then up here can be a place you can stick a mini, and this, like, this could be the creature that comes out here. Just messing around. I got to cover up all the different toy slots with something, probably hot glue or plantage, some kind of plantage, and disguise it up and make this a monster lair. So until next time. Okay, we're back with the Yoda tree stump craft, the Kenner Yoda thing. I have a lot to do with it. I just get started. Got little pieces everywhere. What I'm trying to do is make this reasonably usable in a tabletop game. What I'm thinking of is the whole party comes up, something comes out of it. I've got a creature from Avatar here that I'm probably going to paint up, but I hate that head. And I found out just now that you can pop it right off. I love the body. The body's great, but the head is awful. No disrespect to the special effects guys at Avatar, each his own. I didn't like it. So I may 3D print a replacement or find a replacement, another creature. I don't know. I'm still working that out. And then I may modify that creature further and have it be the lair of this that they have to fight. Now, I have all this other Avatar stuff that actually lights up too, so I'll have to cover that up with some tape when I do paint it if I want to keep the lights. I've got several different things, and like this stuff is going to have to go. Yep, gonna have to cut that out. This is the first step. That may not be, oh, is that metal? Holy cow, that's really metal. This is actually a metal stick. I will need some pliers and maybe try to pull this out. Oh yeah, it pulls right out. Okay, cool. Yeah, you hear that? That really was metal. All right, so like, I'm going to use some of this to cover that up. Can't really block this out, because if you want something to come out of here, you want that clear. So I'm going to leave the monsters there, and then so some of these holes will have to be covered up by something else first. All right, so determined that these big holes that I have to cover up, I won't be covered up by these things completely, and so we have to find some, I mean, I don't necessarily have plastic. I could do cardboard. With hot glue all day long, you can make it look any way you want. I think I have some cardboard that'll work. All right, got some random pieces of cardboard. Before I do that, one thing I thought about, I just wonder if there's a way, if I could take this tree off, that would be ideal. And then I can work with the base without the tree in the way. But it looks like oh, there we go. Oh, nice. Wow. Now we're talking. Now I can paint this up. Whatever the heck that is. There's this little table. That's cute. Never knew that was in there. Okay, so we know we're going to cover this up and this up. And then like this. Well, both of them, really. Alright, so... Okay, that's the start of it. And we'll just keep on going. Until next time. An update on the Kenner Yoda home. I really need to find out what this is really called. But the playset, the Dagobah Playset. I had started working on putting these down, and I've done pretty well with these two avatar bases. And yeah, they kind of look like underwater. Once I paint them, I think it'll be a little bit different. This will all be unified. Put down some other bits to cover up some holes. But I got to a point and I discovered something else I had. And so I pivoted away from just leaving all of these down, all the avatar bases down. So I tore this one out because, and I'll make this kind of a standalone terrain, because I've got this thing I printed out, which is kind of a worm mouth. And I printed it out just to test out my printer. I was like, well, that could go under that hole. And so I tore it back out and stuck this underneath the hole. And there he is. I love that. So I'm going to go with that. hold him up, make sure he stays there. I just built a little cardboard shelf for him to sit, and then I'm making a top so he's kind of a trap, so he'll be kind of a surprise. So this will go on top of it, and I'll make it a kind of watery, paint it water, and then I'm going to surround this whole area with rock, aquarium rocks, and kind of give it a pond look, and then out from the water comes that creature. I think that's pretty cool. I was real excited about that. Plus, I got some more plants that I'm just going to add to these things so they're not so underwater looking. Right now it's just the color, and I think paint will figure that out. I took a 40K bit that I had laying around to cover up one of the sliding slots, and then the other one I just put a piece of cardboard. Cover it up with hot glue. All right. So one of the other things I'm thinking about doing, some skulls. I may fill that in here and have another one sitting up here. I'm going to cut them up and just kind of make it look like it's coming out. That's kind of foreboding, but it's generally foreboding at this scale anyway. You put a miniature down, and this is a massive, massive piece of terrain. So some skulls kind of growing out of this, out of the cave. We'll just call it a cave. And I'll put those in. I'll probably put another skull just laying here. It's, again, larger than normal, but why not? So that's where that stands, the creature. As stated before, I did not like the head on that thing. It was just goofy looking. I love the body, 6 arms, but I just don't like the way it looks. So I'm gonna do something probably too recognizable, but hopefully the paint will change it. I've got a toy xenomorph that I'm going to cut up and put him right on the head and make it kind of a xenomorph creature, but hopefully I can disguise it. Well, there you go. I can probably make that work. Probably have to cut the neck off or the back of this head or both. I don't know. Stick this back there, get his neck off. But I'm going with that because why not? I've said this before, I'm not familiar enough with D&D monsters to really kind of turn this into something. And maybe I should. Maybe I should look into a monster that would be similar, 6 arms. I'll look into it. But right now, this is where this is going. And I may stat this out too. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start statting out creatures and things. I am not going to be statting them out D&D. I will do them in Savage Worlds. So this guy, who is big, I mean, he's a dragon size. I'll stat him out. Put them on my website. I'll go back through some of my older videos and stat those out too. That's my plan. Anyway, I think I'm going to put that head on there and then paint him up. I may just cut that head off here and then stick the back of his into there and then cut his neck off and just have it kind of sticking out. I think that'll work. Considering losing that platypus tail and then putting that on there. Yeah, that's going to scream xenomorph, but why not? All right, so that's it on the Dagobah Playset conversion. Oh, one other thing is this go one of 2 ways. I could leave it there, and that's a great place for a miniature to climb up, right, and sit, or I could cut one of these up since I didn't use it and place it up here, as I think miniatures could still kind of fit up there. Maybe I gotta cut that off. I might do that. Just let it kind of cover that part of it. Okay, until next time.
What I'm gonna do now is before I'm gonna put some sand down on places so it doesn't look all some plastic. And you can see that I put the tree back in to prevent a lot of sand getting down in its own grooves. You put too much down in the side there and the tree won't go back in. So I got some aquarium rocks. When I put the sand down, these won't look so placed. What I want to do is make sure it gets around the pond, and the pond has to be able to come back out. There you go, the big reveal of the creature underneath. Let's do those skulls. Using hot glue to blend that. Alright, we're back with the Dagobah Playset and a few updates. Obviously I've got it primed and I've got it primed inside and out. Lights still work, not too bad. Skulls look great. My plan is to sponge this with a mixture of earthy colors to give it a base, and then I'll end up probably flocking parts of this, at least partially, with some green, and then get some greenery down and paint the rest. Some of this may end up getting a little more green painted later. A couple other things I have changed or decided to do. I've had this came from a Halloween candelabra, and I thought it would be perfect lighting. You can barely see that, but it's kind of an amber. Perfect lighting for the inside of the cave. It's bulky, so I'm going to have to put this underneath like here and then come up through. Now, once I have all that together, it won't be able to come off again. Drill up through here, the wires, and they kind of spread out across the top. Not a lot of other places I can stick this, so I am definitely just going to stick it underneath here and send the wires up through, and I'll have to drill. Creature, I've worked on him a little bit more. Now, this is still not completely painted. I mean, it's kind of the color I wanted to go with, but I want to kind of get more detail on it. I had some 40K bits, or I don't know where they came from, but it was in a 40K bit lot, and these had a mane looking thing, and I added that to it, and I like it a lot. Get it from profile, it looks good. Still kind of a xenomorph look, but I'm still very much okay with that. I'm gonna finish that up with some more detail, dry brush. And I did look up in D&D. Closest this would be a displacer beast, and too many people have done that over and over again. Too easy, not really thrilled with that idea. So I'm going to go ahead and sponge down this with a varied color. Right now it's melted chocolate, which is going to be my dark brown side. So I'm going to do this more brown and this more kind of stony gray. This will have gray in it too. Gray fox. Pewter. Let's throw some pewter in there. Burnt sienna, burnt umber. I'm using dollar store craft sponges. Oh yeah, and I figured out what the detail is on this. Of course, we've got the dinner table that Luke and Yoda ate at, so we got a spoon and a bowl. And right here is that snake that Luke picked up while sitting down. So there's a nice little detail they added. I don't know if anybody ever really saw that when they played with this, but the snake is there. Well, I want some of the black to come through as shadowy. I don't want a lot of it. Let that dry, and then we'll just see if it needs more. All right, we're gonna do this, do the tree cave, and I'm gonna try to portray this as more of a stony structure than a tree. So we're gonna go with some grays, a lot more grays. So I'm gonna throw in some burnt sienna and maybe some lighter brown. Yeah, nutmeg, especially along the bottom where it meets the dirt. I may throw in some white. I may have to come back with a brush and just kind of dab it in there. Too much detail. I didn't think I would ever say that, but too much detail for a sponge like this. Okay. Till next time.
One of the final steps I took in the craft is just to add foliage to it. The only reason I did was because the Avatar 2 terrain that I added to it had holes for their own foliage. So I included some of that and took some aquarium foliage that I've had for a while and mounted it in those holes and other places. I used a drill to make more holes. I ended up using wood skewers and old model sprues to help mount this foliage onto the piece. I think it adds to it. It kind of brings out the jungle and ancient look to it. I also flocked it with some grass flocking to give it some mossy old look as well. I really like the end result. I hope to come up with an adventure I could use it in at the next Mythic Con in Charlotte. If you have any ideas, feel free to comment. I'd love to get your input on what I could use this as perhaps an ending to an adventure, the final stage for a one-shot. So let me know. Until next time. All right, I'm going to consider this craft finished. I've got a lot done with it. As you can see, some aquarium plants were all over the place to kind of give it more of a jungle look. I have the creature down in there. I ended up using a piece of plastic rather than the cardboard that I painted. Went back and thought maybe if I could build a cover that's kind of translucent or semi-translucent. It's not as translucent as I'd like, and I could probably put a light under there, and if I find one I will. I think it looks good. The lights all still work, and that could be integrated into some kind of part of it, part of the adventure that this is in. Creatures there, I didn't do much to him. I kind of just a little more highlighting. Miscalculated on the tail. It doesn't fit as well as I thought, but that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Coming right at you. He can just jump right out of his domain. The lights work. All I gotta do is reach under here, find the switch, turn it on. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it is on. Kind of look like flames going on. One thing that I realized I made a mistake on, or I'm not so sure how much of a mistake it is, but I didn't paint the inside. And actually I like it black. That way the lights kind of pop. Additionally, and I'll put pictures of these later, I'm not quite done with them. I thought about using these dinosaur toys that I found, and I'll show pictures of it, and find a place for it, but I couldn't find a place for it. So I built separate kind of fossils terrain by cutting one in half and creating one. Now, right now these are base painted, and I'm gonna sponge it and then detail the skeletons. Another piece that I have done that I'm not quite done with, that's additional, is just one more of those. Avatar, I put plants on it. I got one more hole for a plant. I'm gonna do that, and so this will be part of the additional scatter terrain for the piece. These could be part of it, or it could be something else. But I had already cut the dinosaur, so I went ahead and made some foam scatter terrain. So there is the Dagobah set turned into a large terrain piece for an adventure. Could be used for anything, sci-fi, fantasy. But hope you enjoyed. Until next time, seek the wolf in thyself.